you that if you're not watching Monstervision Friday nights on TNT, then frankly, I'm embarrassed for you.
Party with the pod people and raise hell with the undead. Next on TNT.
I want to say something. Aren't you sick of these places at the mall that sell Guatemalan cinnamon root coffee beans? You know the places I'm talking about, the ones that have little Japanese ceramic mugs at the back with pictures of spindly cherry trees on them and automatic coffee makers from Germany that cost $900? Because after all, if you're going to drink a $32 bag of Nairobi Aroma Black Beetle cappuccino mix, then obviously you've got to own a giant chrome brewmaster that looks like a life support machine, and you've got to drink that liquid giraffe juice out of a mug that weighs 7 pounds and reflects your entire kitchen in its glistening cobalt surface, right? This is getting way out of hand. When did this coffee thing happen? Wasn't it about 10 years ago that everybody decided they hated coffee? Remember? What became the universal after-dinner cry of the yuppie? Do you have decaf, right? So when did everybody go from thinking coffee drinking was a form of herpes to this new idea that a $14 cup of Tahitian vanilla wombat espresso will turn you into an art director for music videos? It's the truth. They even have interior designers come in and paint the tables and walls so you'll feel just exactly right when you raise your pinky and tip that gusher of Maltese master blend into your happy gullet. Of course, if you make a whole pot of the stuff, you'll also need to buy a Scandinavian coffee strainer and a Turkish coffee thermos, because only rednecks would let the gall-darn coffee sit there in the coffee maker for more than 30 seconds, losing its aroma de dirty sock. Actually, I think I know who's behind this deal. Look around these Shoppies de Cafe in the malls. See what the most expensive items for sale are. That's right. Pottery, mug makers, pot makers, fat women in Birkenstock sandals who live in Colorado. That's who's behind it. They know what they're doing. Don't trust them. Remember, it only takes one coffee-swilling, bug-eyed, high-strung yuppie to feed 37 bovine potters per year. Don't add to that problem. Boycott foreign coffee. Maxwell House will do just fine. And speaking of insanity in yuppie areas, the pod people are taking over San Francisco tonight in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now, this is actually the remake they did in 1978 that a lot of people hated. I don't think it's terrible. I still like the original 50s version better, but it's a halfway decent Philip Kaufman flick. Came out around 1978. Donald Sutherland is the health department restaurant inspector who finds out people are being copied and turned into outer space vegetable zombies. You know, I've seen both movies many times, and I'm still not exactly sure how that works, how they do that. But Brooke Adams is his good friend and employee who watches her boyfriend, the dentist, turn veggie on her before her very eyes. It's also got some good performances by Jeff Goldblum, Veronica Cartwright, Leonard Nimoy in a non-Spock role. Next week we have him on Monstervision again as Spock in Star Trek the Motion Picture. We won't dwell on that. But anyhow, we'll talk about this picture as we go along. But those drive-in totals are 8 dead bodies, 1 dead rat, 1 dead vegetable fetus, 3 mob scenes, exploding outer space greenhouse, hundreds of outer space emotionless weirdbeards, gratuitous rat feces. 3 stars. Check it out. And then we'll have another one later tonight, the immortal Horror at 37,000 feet. Ancient druids are discovered in the cargo hold of a 747. I kid you not. You know, this body snatcher thing I would like better, except they put all kinds of psychological mumbo-jumbo in it. Everything's symbolic in this movie. In the 50s, they were outer space pod people. That was it. They took over your mind, zombified you, turned you into a garden vegetable. But these 70s body snatchers, they want to talk about it. You'll see. Psychotherapy from outer space. That's what this is. Now, there's something that makes the 70s version better than the 50s version. Jeffrey leaves a gift plant for Brooke Adams with a cute little gift card. Get it? People didn't do that in the 50s. They did flowers. But in the 70s, you can actually present somebody with their outer space mind control pod in the form of a gift. Isn't that evil? That's why he's standing behind the door, leering. But why is this movie so rainy and dark all the time? They're trying to make the whole thing look like a greenhouse, aren't they? You know what that is? That's their mise en scène, as they say in France. Mise en scène. Kind of arty, ain't it? You know something? I don't want to know anything else about the rat turd. How many times are they going to mention the rat turd? They had the whole rat turd scene. That's enough. Now they're talking about the rat turd the next day. They're bringing dead rats in. This is like those people that every time you order a hot dog, they say, "You know what you're eating, don't you?" And you go, "Yes, I do, but please, don't dwell on it." There's only one reason to legitimately say stuff like that: to gross out your little sister. Any other use of it is just bad taste. Donald Sutherland is a little dim in this movie, don't you think? Brooke Adams already told him that her boyfriend is acting really strange, even to the point of giving away pro basketball tickets for no good reason. The Chinese laundry guy says the same thing about his wife. Guy jumps up on Donald's car saying, "Help, help, they're coming." And Donald's idea is, "Let's go talk to a psychiatrist." Well, okay, maybe for her, but what about you, Donald? We seem to have a little pattern here developing, don't you think? This movie is back from the years when Donald Sutherland was still a pretty giant movie star. After his breakthrough movie was MASH, I think, and after that he started making these Canadian tax shelter movies because he was the only international box office star who had Canadian citizenship. But you would think he could spot an outer space zombie when he sees one, even if he is Canadian. Did we go to Canada?
Jack?
You know what's interesting about this movie? Usually, when the hero of the movie decides to take action, to be the one guy who will fight against injustice and evil, then something happens. In this movie, nothing happens. The more he does, the more outer space aliens show up. The more he tries to get help, the deeper the hole he digs for himself. It's really, really frustrating because it's the opposite of what we expect to happen in like a Clint Eastwood flick. If Clint decided to stop the aliens, he'd stop the goddamn aliens. None of this, "the mayor can't call you back right now" stuff. Can you imagine that line even being in a Clint Eastwood movie? "The mayor can't call you back right now." Clint would be in the mayor's office with a .357 Magnum, you know? One of Donald's fatal flaws is that he's an organization man. He actually trusts the phone. Talk about a movie where you need Dirty Harry. Okay, back to the pods.